In last week's episode, I reflected on the past year of my small business. Every December, I take a look at what I want to accomplish and where I want my business to grow. I look at what goals I hit the prior year and where I fell short. I make sure to celebrate my wins, but analyze the goals that I may not have hit. This is something that all small business owners should be doing. Are you incorporating this into your own small business? If not, then that is one that you definitely want to go back and take a listen to. Now, in this week's episode, I'll be interviewing Sylvia from Backyard Brushes. She is juggling a full time job while running a successful small business. Her business is well known for hosting workshops, and this has been huge for her business. If you've been thinking about incorporating workshops into your own small business, then this is definitely one you guys don't want to miss. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you all for joining me on my podcast. This is episode 41. And if you are new here, I interview creatives and small business owners every other week and just love talking about all things business. I'm hoping that I've been inspiring you along with my guest host. Now, in this week's episode, I will be interviewing Sylvia from Backyard Brushes. I first met Sylvia when she became a member of my membership group, which was roughly 3 years ago. She has been a key member in the group, and her knowledge of workshops and insights to running a small business, a very successful small business, has been helpful to so many in the membership group. I finally had the opportunity to meet Sylvia in person at my Vintage Soul Creative Retreat. And it's just so nice finally meeting somebody in person after you've been seeing them every Tuesday night during a Zoom meeting for our membership group. She was a huge help at the retreat with a lot of behind the scenes help. And so, again, I have to give her a huge shout out and thank her again. Now, let's go ahead and give a big welcome to Sylvia, and let me just bring her on here. Bear with me for one moment. All right. Welcome, Sylvia. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. So for my viewers, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if she's going to say anything. So for my viewers and listeners who haven't had the opportunity to have, found you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself. I always like to start off my podcast with, just you giving a little insight of, about yourself and about, like something personal or about your business in general.
Personal? Let's get to the tea. No, my name is Sylvia. I'm actually in Winona, Minnesota. However, my shop is now in Fountain City, Wisconsin. We live on the border. So It's just a bridge dividing us. And yes, I'm a Vikings fan. Sorry, Sonnet.
What?
And school. I have 9 grandchildren, and I'm an empty nester now that we're grandparents. So
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So this is my self-care side gig with still working full time because of health insurance, people. It's important.
It is. It is definitely important. So, let's start off at the beginning. Like, let's talk about how you started your business. Like, what made you one day say, I'm going to just create Backyard Brushes?
I didn't. Let's
what?
Never did. It wasn't in my plans at all. So real quick, I do have a history of art in my younger years in life, and I have a degree in art, and I was planning on being an art therapist, but life leads you in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, raised the kids, this and that. And started, as the kids were older, started getting back into art and different mediums. And the canvas workshops started popping up in a larger city about an hour from where we live. And so, of course, I was like, this is kind of cool,
Mhm.
And we started going with my friends at work. And then my daughter was really into it. So we went a few times. And then we found ourselves like lying in bed, even painting together with the canvas in our laps in my bed. Yeah, I know. Anyways, so a friend of mine owned a small bar from where we lived. And she couldn't get one of these companies to come to her bar because she's had to guarantee like 50 people and so much, or she'd have to pay. And we're a small town.
Mhm.
And she's just like, Sylvia. And I'm like, I'd had a few drinks in. She knew when to ask. And I'm like, sure, I can do that. So long story short, we had 15 people in the backyard, hence the backyard brushes.
Yeah.
Couldn't name it bush light brushes. So we just had a group of us together in the backyard of her bar, and we painted, and it was fun. Didn't think much of it. Then another girlfriend at work, real shortly, right after, was like, hey, Sylvia, I want to raise money. We want to walk in the Susan B. Komen. It's a 3-day walk. It's like $2,000 whatever for each person on their team. And we want to raise money, but these companies in Rochester won't host her as a fundraiser to earn money. Since she's not the entity that's receiving the money, she'd have to pass it off.
Right.
So, hey, would you do this for us? Sure. I have 15 easels and some paintbrushes. I can do this. That was the start of it all. So
Okay.
our family had a cabin up in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. So we're there for the 4th of July weekend. And she's got 20 people registered. Then she's got 30 people. Then she's up to 50 people. And before you know it, she's got like 60 people. And I'm like, stop it. Like, stop.
60 people for like, and that was your second like workshop ever?
Well, it gets worse. So,
Oh.
so Fergus Falls is like 6 hours north of where we live. And I'm like, stop, like, stop adding people. I don't have those materials. But she wants to raise money and she's a go-getter.
Yeah.
So the number just kept going up. So all the way from Fergus Falls, Minnesota to Winona, Minnesota, we stopped at every Michael's, Joanne Fabrics, anything, Hobby Lobby to purchase canvases, paintbrushes, paint, and of course, easels.
Right.
This is 10 years ago, mind you. So we weren't like Amazon wasn't at our fingertips the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And shipping would have been like $900 if I'd purchased all these easels online, which would be a big chunk of her profit.
Yeah.
So 101 people later.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
she raised money to walk. And now I have all these easels and paintbrushes. So then another person contacts you. Hey, would you do this? Hey, would you do that? So before you know it, I was like this redneck canvas painting party out of the trunk of my car, going to all these different places for people doing this because I didn't have any rules. I was like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, I was just doing it continuously. And Wisconsin might be known for its bars.
Just a little.
And I might have been bartending at the time. So I knew a lot of bar owners through the Tavern League. And they're like, would you do this at our bar? Would you do this here? Would you do that there? So I was like, continuously, the canvas painting parties, the senior center. Yep, sure. Here I am. Trunk of the car, carts of paint, bag of easels. And I would just travel around doing these painting parties for people. So that's when I ended up developing a Facebook page, getting a business ID number, and starting a business that I had no plan to start. It just kind of evolved from a couple of favors from a few friends.
Wow.
And so that's how that started.
So the answer truly is you didn't know that you wanted a small business. It just kind of came to you.
On my lap.
In your lap.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then it was, it's really hard to develop a lot of paintings and keep moving the paintings. And that became a little difficult. And I'm a squirrely type person and I want to do other things. So then I started playing with wood. I had never cut wood in my life. So all of a sudden I have a miter saw and I'm all proud of myself. Like, look, I cut a piece of wood and I made planks and I was all proud of myself. And then I was able to offer wood paintings. Then Fountain City, where I actually graduated from high school in Fountain City, and I bartended in Fountain City. So it's kind of like our local town for me, my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
One of high school friend's parent had bought a small place in Fountain City. And it wasn't like a booth, but where like everybody's stuff would come in, paid the commission, and it was just all intermingled. And it was called Ichabod's Attic. And she's like, Sylvia, so sure. So now I'm creating and taking things and starting the repurposing and items and stuff. And she taught me a lot about the flipping of the furniture stuff
Mm-hmm.
and repurposing. And so then I'm selling stuff out of her space and still doing parties out of the back of my car.
Okay.
And that was fun because I got to still try different things and I had a way to move it out of my garage
Mm-hmm.
without knowing what I was doing. So then her husband was unfortunately in an ATV accident and she was going to have to shut down her store.
Oh.
And that was in October of 2018.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to have to, I was done with that avenue, supposedly. And then, I don't know, I'm a huge 80s music fan. Anyone else? Anyways, the movie, no, I can't. Bohemian Rhapsody with Freddie.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember it because it's Bohemian Rhapsody with Freddie.
Yeah.
We were leaving the theater that night. We'd gone to see it. And my husband handed me a key. And it was for a storefront in downtown Winona.
Oh.
So that was the start so he knew I was leaving Ichabod's, that I really liked it. I don't think he wanted all the stuff back in the garage. Little did he know later.
Yeah.
But we now have separate garages for that reason. So that's when I started a storefront. And then I used Karen's plan, I guess. I don't know. I copied Karen, took inspiration from Karen, where I had some vendors and we all just intermingled. And then the other spot of the space I had for my workshops.
Okay.
And I would do workshops. And it just kept going very well. And I was the only one in town, unless you want to travel, out of town. And it just went really well. Kids' birthday parties. I mean, you name it. Public workshops, kids' birthday parties, bridal parties. There's always a reason for people wanting to get together and create.
Right. Yes.
So it worked out really slick.
Awesome.
And then
that's awesome. Oh, and did you say then COVID hit?
And then COVID.
Okay.
Then everything changed.
The C word. Oh my gosh. I know.
Change or COVID? Both?
Both.
Both.
I know. It was like a pivotal time in my small business.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us about how it pivotally changed your business then.
Well, everything was shut down.
Yep.
Probably things that we were doing in there I shouldn't say. But so we brought in sewing machines.
Okay.
And we were actually sewing masks.
Okay.
So I got to bring back some home ec skills from high school. That's only 1 or 2 years ago. But anyways, we were making masks. And then I started getting contacted by all these parents. So kids were having to do artwork at homeschooling, online schooling. But supplies weren't readily available and Amazon was running behind. So now I started hawking paint out the front door. So I'd put paint in little condiment containers in the boxes with the names on it. And I had a drop box.
Okay.
And people would pay for their paint and pick up their projects. And I'd put little projects together that kids could do or families could do together. So I was hawking paint outside the door.
Oh my gosh.
But it helped pay the rent through COVID. We didn't know. And then, parties started to open up and we did some outdoor parties as COVID started to open up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, because you could do things. You could semi-gather together as long as there was open air. You weren't confined to a building. Yes.
And
I remember that
between my girlfriend's bar and then the bars I knew in Wisconsin, which wasn't as regulated, we started doing outdoor workshops then through COVID. So I was able to make it through COVID. I just had to pivot.
Right. And that's extremely important with any small business. You have to be prepared to pivot because you don't know what is going to be thrown at you next. So
and be open to what people are saying, because I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been like, hey, let's hawk paint out the door. I just started receiving emails from people like, can you help me? So that was a really good learning experience too. Like, listen to your customers, or what do they need, not what do you want to do?
Right. Oh,
Because I would have
exactly.
been having, illegal crafting parties in the back of the room, but we didn't do that. No
No.
nasty emails. But yeah,
Oh.
so it was just a pivotal transition.
Wow. And then you went right back once everything opened up, then you just went rolling right back into doing things as it was previous to COVID?
With some changes. So in the meantime, my mother's health took a turn
Okay.
with some mini strokes. So we moved her from Mankato, Minnesota to Winona, Minnesota into senior living.
Okay.
And now I'm in a caretaking role for my mother too. So I couldn't live at the shop like I previously did, like
Right.
in the evenings and weekends. And the girlfriend that helped me, her mother was in a car accident, and she ended up choosing to move to the cities
Okay.
to help take care of her mother.
Mhm.
So my kind of right-hand man at the shop, I lost. So I lost my right arm. So I couldn't be there like I
Right.
used to be there, which wasn't also fair to the vendors. I was pretty much just scheduling parties and doing the parties to pay the rent, but I wasn't
Mhm.
there like I used to be in the shopping and the flipping.
Right.
So that's where I was up until the end of last year, a year ago.
When are we gonna do a drum roll? Ding, 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 ding.
So being in the bar business in Fountain City in Wisconsin for so long, I've met people. And one of the previous bar owners in Fountain City had closed or sold his bar about a year before. And he had decided to open up a bakery deli type style between the two bars that we worked at. I had worked with him at a previous bar, and that's how I got to know him. And one of our other friends, yeah, Kelly's now my right hand. She was working for him also. So they called me and they're like, Sylvia, you need to move here. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sylvia, no, you need to move here. Yeah, okay, whatever. And I kind of just like, that's a lot of work. And who's got time for that? Winter, Minnesota, the holidays, our busiest time of year. And then I went to a training for work, my full-time job that has health insurance. And I was hearing from different people, oh, I hear you're moving to Fountain City. I hear you're moving to Fountain City. And I'm like, yeah, tell me more. So I took the time then to go look at the space, the physical space. And it was nice. It was handicapped accessible. Everything was brand new. They had knocked down in a previous building, built this. And it was the two businesses side by side.
Okay.
And of course, from bartending, sorry, Schaffner's, I had known the owners of the landlords. So the landlord was willing to put a door between the two businesses.
Okay.
So they came in, they put in a door. I still didn't. I was thinking, well, maybe January or February. And my girlfriend Kelly's like, no, now. We need to do this now. And I'm like, I don't have time. And she's like, I'll move you. Like, okay, deal. So Kelly did, and she's very organized, type A personality, and she's boxing and labeling things. And I'm just like, A to B, A to B, who cares? Sort it out later. It almost probably ruined our friendship. but we survived. We just needed some space now and then. But we got everything from A to B. Kelly was phenomenal in unpacking and organizing and getting things up and going. And it works really well because JP can use my space for overflow seating for his patrons for his sandwich shop.
Okay.
And in the meantime, Kelly and the staff sell my stuff that I have. And then I have my space for my workshops. And it has better lighting and it's handicapped accessible. And I don't have to worry about if I'll have heat in the winter because the old furnace isn't working. So yeah, it's been great.
I love it. I do remember when that all happened where you're like, yep, I'm going to be moving and I have a friend. She's going to help me. And I'm like, I need a friend like her.
She is phenomenal. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think it's what's nice is she's a complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So we balance each other out. And there's times where we'll head to head because, her opinion and my opinion are completely different. But we usually can, take a breath, walk away, come back. We're adults. We love each other. We might have differences of opinion. But, she's great she keeps me organized. Like I go in there and she's come up behind me. She's got everything in bins. She's got everything labeled. Sells all my stuff. She can sell anything. I'm going to tell you stuff. I'm like, oh, we don't need that. Just throw it away before. I sold that. So I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, especially in Fountain City, without her. So Kelly, shout out to you if you watch this.
Aw. Heart, Kelly. I love it. I love it. Oh, so yes, I definitely need a Kelly in my life to help with that, all of that good stuff. So that's really awesome. And you mentioned several times you're working your full-time job as well. It sounds like due to healthcare. Um, talk to me about, juggling your small business and, working a full-time job. I mean, has this been,
It's hard.
have you struggled? Okay, you've struggled because I've done it and I know it's hard.
And it's like your heart is in one place, but your physical being is in another place.
Yes. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
and I'm very fortunate. I've worked at the same place for 20 some years.
Okay.
So I do accrue. I know 24 years I've been there.
That's a long time. I
never got myself fired. It's a miracle. But I do accrue quite a bit of time off. So I use it. Okay, people, I'm going to admit, I checked. I'm at 9 full work weeks this whole calendar year. So between taking off for workshops, you never know when somebody wants a workshop. Last week, a local bank wanted to do a team building. Sure, 1:00 in the afternoon, I'll be there. So I'll take off. I'm very fortunate. I have flexibility in my job that allows me to maneuver around it.
That's really nice.
And my director, supervisor, manager, I don't even know, general manager, they changed titles.
Whatever their name is.
She's a creative herself.
Okay.
So she totally
understands
some of my thinking and stuff and my lack of organizational skills. So it's really nice on that point that she gets it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. So, I mean, is your ultimate goal in life then is your ultimate goal in life, but is your ultimate goal truly to do your small business full time eventually?
I would love to. I really would. My goal right now is to HSA and VIVAs. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but I got a hybrid. So I'm just trying to put all the money I can legally with the tax rules.
Okay.
Into an HSA and VIVA so that I can use that for healthcare and be able to retire early.
Oh, so you have a plan. I love it. I love it when people have plans.
You have a plan.
Yes, and you're implementing it. Okay, good.
But healthcare keeps rising.
I know.
And it's like, how much is enough? I don't know. And my husband's now retired, which drives me nuts. And well, he's got his own small business, but he doesn't have health insurance.
Okay.
So it's just like, how much do I need to be able to purchase health insurance before we're Medicare eligible?
Right.
So hopefully in a year. We'll see. Check back in. That's my goal next year.
Oh my. So I was thinking a couple of years. Now you're saying hopefully within a year?
It'll probably be January 2026, and if not, 2027. It's my goal. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's my goal.
I love this.
I
know we're going to talk goals tomorrow night, but she's like, I mean, were you going to like tell us this tomorrow night?
No, because it would be next year.
Oh, well, you still remember I talked about,
long-term
goals too. So
I could bring that up.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
So.
Oh, I know. And you have to like think big, like what do you want long-term? You can't just constantly be thinking like year to year, like obviously you can think that way, but you also want to think like, you're prepping and preparing, you're building, like that, that fund for your insurance. So you're making progress. And I love that. Aw. I didn't even know. I know I'm learning something new, and it's like,
Well, I feel like too, if I tell people, it'll wreck it. Like,
yeah, I don't think it will.
How come you're still working? I thought you were going to quit. Well, guess what? I didn't have as much as I thought, or I didn't have as much as I need.
I know.
But it's my own personal goal.
Yes. Oh, I love it though.
Tell my husband.
You wait a minute. You said you did not tell your.
He knows. He knows.
Oh,
he knows that I'm thinking 2026. So
okay. Oh, well, I love that. I really do. So, my next question was going to ask you, what are some of the challenges you've experienced with owning your small business? Obviously, like that, you not being able to do it full time in healthcare, but what are some of the other challenges that you've had, and that, how did you overcome them?
I'm not a business person at all.
Okay.
I have no business background, nothing. So learning like how to do my taxes, what do I need for taxes? A business ID number, what is that? And then switching from Minnesota to Wisconsin and being a Minnesota resident.
Right.
Learning that.
About that.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And then, tracking now for me this past year, it's been what goes to Minnesota, what goes to Wisconsin.
Yes.
So a lot of the, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a business-oriented person. And so I just want to do.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, I have to be accountable to the government.
I understand completely. Because I always, when my accountant and I get together, I start laughing, my nervous laugh when I see him. And then, and then he laughs too. And I just say to him, Corey, let me tell you, I am a creative. Okay. I like crunching numbers because it tells me I'm making money. I don't like crunching those kind of numbers. I don't like all that stuff. Like I always just give him. Yeah. I give it all to. So
I'd rather be in the garage painting versus doing this.
Right. Yes. Or
I'm not organized.
Me either with that. Like, I don't like being like, he's like, oh, did you put this receipt over here? And Corey, what? Now I have to put receipts in different categories. I'm like, oh, shoot. So then I have to go back and recalculate and, yes, I'm getting better at that. But yes, I totally feel your pain, girl. Oh.
And I know there's computer programs to help with that, but I'm still a pencil paper kind of person. So Kelly does it for my husband's business. So I probably should bring her into whatever.
Yeah, there is I'm trying to think of the name of the program that I was supposed to.
Quicken?
What was that?
Quicken?
Yes, quick. Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I got to make a decision because I'm going to start fresh in that program next year. So we'll see. But yeah, from what I understand, it keeps getting more and more expensive for small business owners. So it's just like, everybody's trying to nickel and dime us too.
And it's a few $100 for the computer program.
Yeah.
And
so I think it's
have it on 3 computers.
Okay. And well, good. I'm glad you know the deets. I haven't even looked into it yet. That's how good I am.
Only because you use it for the other business, not for me.
Oh.
I'm not techie. I'm still a notebook, pen and paper. Every month I go through with a pen and paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it.
But I know.
Way.
Yeah.
Aww.
You're bigger than I am.
Yeah. So that'll be for next year.
That's your next year's goal. That's a good goal to have, Sonnet. Will we hear about that?
I didn't even have it on my list, but yeah, that is probably a goal. I have to get I am working on it. I'm getting better. Here I'm confessing my sins and I'm interviewing you. I feel like I'm confessing my sins. I'm like, oh God. But every time
it's a real struggle.
It is. I think it is for all small businesses because it's a lot. we don't know all the ins and outs. We don't have the backing of those big businesses. So it's just
Exactly.
us. We're solopreneurs. Enough with this, like, let's talk. Let's talk about something fun again. Let's talk about what you have, I feel like the most passion for, which is hosting your workshops. And so what is your what are the types that you basically do any types of workshop, correct? At whatever anybody is asking for, you create.
I try.
You do. Okay. So what has been some of your favorite workshops?
To be honest, the barn quilts are fun.
Yeah.
But they're time consuming.
Very.
And I really like the kids.
Oh, yes.
So what's really fun with the kids is, one, their attention spans are much shorter. They're not, for the majority of children, not all children, because they're all different.
Yeah.
They're not as meticulous.
Okay.
They're creating to create, and they're not scared of messing up, and they'll jump right in and so excited and like, look what I've made. So I really do enjoy the kiddos, the little people. They're fun.
Yeah.
So
they're not perfectionists. Like, I think so many adults are perfectionists, and they almost feel like immobilized, like they can't go further because something's not perfect.
Well, and I tell littles this too, but I always say there's only one rule in my space, and that's respect. And I also say, and that comes to yourself too. So if you wouldn't say something to your friend about their artwork, don't say it to yourself about your own artwork.
Oh,
you need to have that respect for yourself too, because you are your own best friend.
Yeah.
So I try, and then I'll tell people, I'm like, seriously, it's just paint. Like, you're not going to go to jail if you mess it up.
Right.
Okay.
You can repaint it.
You can go over it. You can accept it. I mean, so, we just try to move forward. But children just don't seem to be as hindered as adults. So that's just fun. There's a lot of projects that we do. I'm trying to think now. It's like a mind goes blank. Like, I've never done a workshop before. Right. Oh, the one thing I don't like is the string art.
Okay.
People don't give kids hammers to pound nails. It's a headache. Okay. And don't give bachelorettes drinking. It's a headache. So I'm not I'll do it if people really want to, but that one's a headache with all the pounding.
Right.
Boxes, the toilet boxes from the back of the toilet, like Happy Cheeks and Please Seat Yourself. That's been really, well, in the past was really popular. People love the different, and then you can flip it around and have like Home Sweet Home or something else. You don't have to have it in the bathroom. Those were also very popular for a while. And the noodle boards have been popular. It's like things go in waves with popularity.
Yes. Absolutely.
Outdoor plant stands are always, regardless, they're always a big, huge thing in the spring, and porch pots in the winter.
Right. How did your porch pot go this past
weekend? Porch pots are good, all good. You got like a 2 to 3 week window with the porch pots in this area, so
yes,
good.
Absolutely.
So hopefully everyone's pleased with the porch pots.
Oh, awesome. So for our listeners who want to start, hosting workshops, what advice do you have for someone who's wanting to start them for their own business? Like, any tips and tricks?
Tips and tricks. One, baby wipes. Always have like a case of baby wipes on hand. They're the best.
Okay.
Listen to the customers and what they want. I always offer different colors, because just because I'm making this in, like, let's say a brown or a gray or black, doesn't mean somebody doesn't want it in a bright green with fuchsia. Right. So I always have plenty of colors. But a lot of people, I think the big thing with DIY workshops is people think it's just easy. And it's quick money. It's fast money. I'm going to tell you, people, there's a lot of work that goes into setting up a workshop, especially if you're cutting your own wood, sanding wood, but prepping materials, making sure you have all the paints, that you have all the paintbrushes. And it's not fun cleaning all the paintbrushes afterwards either. So there's a lot of work that goes into having a workshop. And then, yes, the workshop might be, 1 hour to 3-4 hours. And you might look like you're making a lot of money in a really quick part of time. Right. But to be honest, a lot of time goes into workshops. So just know it's not like it's fun, it's great, it's creative, it's socializing, but there is a lot of work on the front that you
Mhm.
need to be prepared for. And I also think the quality of projects really matter. I would not suggest just going to your local dollar store, buying supplies, and then trying to
Mhm.
charge $40 for a workshop.
Right.
People are going to know.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Sorry if I offended anyone. I didn't mean to. But my advice is don't get me wrong. I'll buy things at the dollar store for the rope is the best for different whether I'm doing large wooden tags or whatever. The rope is great.
Mhm.
But their whole project isn't built on the craft department at the Dollar Tree or the
Right.
paint.
Absolutely.
So
That's a really good point. Yes. Have, quality
quality,
supplies.
because your
Yes.
reputation is going to build on that.
That's
And
right.
I'll always tell people, I'm like, if you have any issues, if something comes apart, please come back to me so that we can
Mhm.
fix it and address the issue versus you're upset and don't want to come back again because this is broken. And then you're telling all your friends it fell apart or whatever.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The one thing that when I was doing workshops too, so when I created the workshop, I would always have a checklist so that I knew like, okay, I need this, and I would check off what I needed because I would go on the road for my workshops. I
Mhm.
didn't have what like you kind of like
Mhm.
out of the back of your truck or car. But yeah, so that I think is really important too to have like a kind of a checklist
It's
and
extremely important. 'Cause the worst thing is when you're an hour away and you're like, oh, I forgot the copy of the painting we're painting today.
right.
Everyone pull out your phones. Trust me, it sucks. I've done it.
Yeah. I mean, people
People
make
make
mistakes,
mistakes.
absolutely. Yes.
But had I
Yes.
had that physical checklist and had reviewed it, it
Yeah.
would have happened.
Yeah.
And
No,
then,
I
yeah, that's a huge point.
yeah,
Just
that was the one thing that I like for my barn quilt workshops when I would do those, I would be like, "Okay, check. I have all the bases." The most important thing, yeah.
need extras.
Yes, absolutely. Because you never know, like, somebody else might just show up or, what have you.
Or
So
something if there's a fail. You always want
mhm.
backup in case there's a fail or the drop-ins. You might as
Yeah.
well have extra product if someone drops in. You don't wanna say no and turn them away.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
always bring extras, and especially with private parties, the RSVPs, you can't depend on that.
Mm-mm.
So I always bring extras, like, give me an estimate, and I go from there.
Right.
'Cause I'd rather
Very
have too
good.
much than too little.
Yeah. What has been one of your biggest challenges with hosting workshops? I mean, like, we talked about the tips and tricks. Have you had any big challenges with hosting workshops?
I don't think there's a really I haven't had I'm not even gonna say it out loud because knock on wood, any injuries. So get insurance, people, because you never know if something could happen and it's really not
Mhm.
that expensive. So that's a really good tip I'm gonna give you.
Right.
I do offer some of our workshops for power tools, and that's really fun because you get to watch people use power tools sometimes for the first time. And some people don't want to use them, and that's okay. We'll do it for them.
Right.
But so the fear sometimes, I think that's the fear that people have,
Yeah.
whether it's the fear of doing it wrong and trying to teach someone you can't do it wrong. Like it's art. It's okay. You're not going to go to jail.
Mhm.
There's no citations. So I
Right.
think it's the hardest part I think for me is probably the fear that people have or bring with them. And then for me also scheduling can get difficult.
Right. Um, Going back to like teaching people how to use power tools, that just kind of like threw me because it made my heart like kind of skip a beat. um, Like, yes, then insurance definitely if you're gonna be teaching them with power tools, because I just have to tell you guys a little story about, like, when I don't do that, but I would show how I use power tools on my YouTube videos, and there was a gal, and honestly, she would comment on every one of my videos, and all of a sudden she was gone, like, stopped commenting totally one day, just cold turkey. And then months went by, and then she emailed me and said, "You're probably wondering, why I stopped commenting. Well, I've had a problem. I bought a saw, and she got her thumb in the way of the saw, and she chopped her saw off, or chopped her thumb off, you guys." I was like literally reading that email, and I'm like, I cringed. I was like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, I talk about it, like, make sure your finger, I give tips and tricks too on my YouTube videos, but I'm like, do you let them use the saw, Sylvia? Do you let them? Okay. Oh,
No.
okay. Good.
No. The
Okay.
saw, no, I don't, and I don't do a traveling saw. It's mainly the drill,
Okay.
an electric sander,
Okay, that's good. Yes.
or the nail gun,
Oh, okay. Nail guns can
which
be
I'm right there. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Yes, because that is another tip, you guys. You have to really monitor them when they're using supplies, to even like supplies. Like, I just know, like, at the barn quilt workshop, I eventually had to bring my daughter because I would say just a little paint goes a long way. And I have them in squirt bottles, and all of a sudden they'd go, and I'm like, oh, do you think that you're painting like a wall? Because they would have enough paint for like an entire wall.
Yeah.
So
I know that. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'll put my paints out and I'll let people help themselves.
yes.
But I'll tell them, I go, it's better to come back for more, because the paint will start to dry and it won't spread as easily. So little is better, and it's better to get more.
Right.
And people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, because the longer it sits on your plate, it's starting to cure already.
I know.
So that's kind of how you're going to have a better product if you use the fresh sealed paint versus having a bunch on your plates. But I use the condiment containers.
Yes, that's what I started going to in the end too. At first I did plates, and then that's when we had some real issues. So yeah.
Well, I had one lady, she's like, Sylvia, and I'm like, what? And she's like, I don't know what I did wrong. And I looked over, and she had yellow paint everywhere. So with the condiment containers, you turn it upside down, you squish it like you're going to get ranch dressing.
Yeah.
She had unscrewed the other side. So the yellow paint was everywhere. But one person out of how many people that have touched the condiment container is not a big deal. But and I'm like, it's okay. Again, they make more paint. It's okay.
Yes, I know.
But I know she felt bad. So I tried to, you might assume people might know how to use something. Don't assume anything.
No.
Just like, oh, and these are, squirt bottles, and show them how to tip the paint. And all you can do is give people tools. How they use them is up to them.
Right. I know. You can't assume everybody knows how to do things. Because isn't that saying like, you make an ass out of you and me, or whatever that's saying? It's like a true statement. Oh, like yes. So, but good. So workshops, that I think is like really like a really in-depth. I think you talked about a lot about the workshops. So that's exciting. So anyone that is interested in hosting a workshop, just go for it, but just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And yeah, but I want to also talk a little bit about your shop now. So I know you'd love to go thrifting and upcycling and doing all those things. So I know that it sounds like you spend a lot of time on these workshops. I mean, how do you find the time to go thrifting and find all those things?
It's what's kind of nice is the balance, which sounds really weird when you think about it. But I love flea markets.
Oh, yeah.
I love flea markets and going out. And a lot of that is more in the summertime.
Okay.
Well, and you live in Wisconsin. You're familiar with, our area.
Yes.
We have really nice weather, hot weather. We live right on the Mississippi River here.
Okay.
So people are out on the lakes or out on the river. People spend a lot of time outdoors in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So participation in workshops are not as strong in the summer months
Okay.
as they are in the winter. So October, November, December, January, February, March, a lot more workshops. As it gets warmer outside and people start to get the spring fever and go outside more, the workshop numbers go down.
Okay.
And that's when I get to go to my
Your
thrift
thrift
store,
stores.
go flipping.
Love
So
it.
I stock up more in the spring and summer. And don't get me wrong, I'll hit up a thrift store anytime.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have my wagon out at flea markets during the winter like I do.
Right.
And especially kids' birthday parties, because you have other events they can do outside. More event options for birthday parties during the summer. So a lot of the kids' birthday parties too are a lot more in the summer.
Right.
Or winter versus summer. So
Okay.
it's really a nice balance.
Oh,
See,
absolutely.
I can rationalize anything.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Have you always had a love of thrifting, or did it like grow on you? Like, I think it was embedded in my from the very, I don't know. I feel like I've been thrifting since I was a toddler.
I think for me, I have memories being little person. This is going to sound weird, people. Dumpster diving with my parents in Germany.
Oh, in Germany.
In
Okay.
Germany. That's where I learned dumpster diving and crib picking and all of that with my parents. And theirs was primarily more antiques. And the collection of antiques my parents came up with when we lived in Europe. My dad was military. That's why we were in Europe.
Okay.
So I had all of that. And then I think I became a snobby teenager.
Yes, I do remember that too. That's when I was like too cool for
I was too
thrifting.
cool. I didn't want, I was too cool.
Yeah.
And then I became a college student. And then you start being more resourceful because, and then I had kids and you start becoming a little more resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like, I had it in my younger years. Developed the teenage attitude.
Right.
And then it came back to me. And then I think that's, as an adult, is when I started incorporating it with the repurposing and with the crafts. Before it was more antiques and serving a purpose in the home versus repurposing and flipping it.
Right.
So I guess it's an evolve. It just evolved.
Now that you like put it in those terms, that's exactly, it was an evolution for me too.
Evolution. Yep. It's an evolution.
I know. And now I like my viewers want me to go thrifting and I don't even need to.
Seriously, the bins were the best.
What was that?
The bins.
Yeah.
That was an incredible experience. It was my first experience at the bins.
Really?
My only experience.
Yes, I love it. It's I know like this week I want to actually go and like, so this weekend, just so you guys know, we cleaned out a portion of the garage. We had to get things organized. We had to pull so exciting. My husband and I, we rarely get upset with each other except when we have to like move stuff around in the garage. Okay, I'm throwing it out there. Okay, so we had to pull out the boat. We had to get the lawnmower from the front to the back of the garage because we have to like situate it all. And then we had to pull the snowblower out because, oh my gosh, I just have to tell you guys about, I'm trying to think, when did we had snow recently.
I'm laughing with you. I'm laughing with you.
No, this is, my husband's like, we need to get the snowblower out because we're going to get snow. And I'm like, oh, we have plenty of time. It's been like so warm. And you know how warm it's been this like fall. And then sure enough, the weekend that he had wanted to do it and I couldn't, we got snow. And he's like, see, now I'm going to have to shovel sod it. I'm like, really, Craig? There's not even that much snow. So this last weekend, we had to do all of this stuff and then we pulled the snowmobile out and we're going to bring that up north. And it just, all of a sudden he's like, you got a lot of stuff in here. Have you been going on thrift hauls? I'm like, no, I haven't been going on thrift hauls. He's like, I don't remember this. And then he goes and he peeks in. Okay, so I did go on a thrift haul like he didn't know about, but I put it inside of his boat and he peeks in his boat and he's like, what's this? This is all new. And I'm like, and so like,
that's the best.
Oh my gosh. things kind of went awry. There was a little bit of like, you know, we had a little bit of an argument. No, I wouldn't say it was even an argument, but we kind of
I get
like
it.
bickered back and forth a little.
I get
And
it.
then all
It's
of a
why I
sudden,
hide things in my office at work and slowly bring them into the house.
yes. And so then, yeah, we had just a little bit of a boop, and then it was back to normal. Like, I love you, honey.
Sure you do.
No, it was on, that was all Sunday. So then he's like, okay, what do you want for dinner? Then it was really
Uh-huh.
back to normal. But honestly, like, I'm just like, even when we were doing it all, I'm like, I really need to get in here. I think that might be my area that I'm gonna actually clean
Work on
out. Because you guys, in January, we always pick an area. It's going to be probably hell for me because it'll be cold out there, but I need to get it done.
it.
And yeah, I need to reclaim that space. So it might be.
I'm going to touch up my garage. And I have my own garage now. My husband's got
Yes.
his own garage.
Yes.
Neither one of us park it.
We got a boat and all like that kind of. Yes,
Yeah.
we don't park in it either. But
The
yeah,
ATV, the boat, the Harley,
Yeah.
his trailers, whatever, his Amazon van, whatever. That's all down below for his garage. My garage is all my stuff, and there's no room for my car in the 3-car garage. So I'm going to touch that up so I don't. It's gotten messy the past month or 2, 3.
Yes.
And then I have a room in the house that I need to clean out so that I can have that space. And I have reasons for wanting to reclaim that room versus just throwing everything in there and letting it.
Yes. It is so much better too when you're organized. It really is. And then you know what you have and you don't end up with 20 rolling pins. Yes.
And I still know where all my the majority of my rolling pins are.
Awesome.
They're still in my tote.
Great. So the real question is, are you going to be going on a thrifting hiatus again this year?
No.
What's that look? I'm like looking at your eyes are getting like bigger and bigger.
Are you gonna challenge me to do one?
No.
Even if I get challenged, I'll go on one.
No.
No. I tried
last
not
year
to.
we all did. We all kind of went on a thrifting hiatus.
And
so.
I should use what I've accumulated. That's the reason I thrift in the summer so I can repurpose in the winter. Yeah. And I probably should, but I might have a few plans in my mind for, January, February, March, April. That, it won't be a realistic challenge for me this year.
Okay. I know, because one of them for your birthday's in January too, correct?
We're only a couple days away.
I know. Anyways, we're getting together and we're going to go on a little thrifting mission. So yes.
So I can't take a thrifting hiatus in January.
No, we can't. We're putting it out there. No thrifting hiatus for our group. Ain't happening. So I love it.
What is that? Don't do is you can challenge everyone to have the hiatus and just be like, don't do what I do as I say or whatever. But
right.
Yeah.
I know. No. Like when I dip my paintbrush into Big Top or DIY paint and I tell everybody else not to do that.
Double dipper.
I'm a double dipper. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Double dipper.
Oh, yes, exactly. Well, good. Well, that is exciting. And it was great chatting today. So where can my viewers find you if they want to be inspired by you as much as I am?
Well, because I've been in the membership group. I've learned more about my social medias. I'm of an older generation, so
gosh.
I am. We didn't have all this when I was growing up. I had to get up and turn the TV with my hand. So I had Facebook, Instagram a little bit on TikTok, a little bit on Pinterest, and now I've started the YouTube. Awesome. The YouTube, is that what it's called? The YouTube?
The YouTube. Facebook. It's kind of like when I used to say the Walmart and people are like, it is not the Walmart. Well, it is to me. It is the YouTube.
No.
All right. So you are on all the platforms. You're like really on Facebook majority,
most,
like a majority. Yes. And now you've been putting out consistent videos on YouTube, or you're trying to be more
trying to be
consistent.
more consistent since
Yes. And you're
November.
dabbling with the others. So I will have everything linked below, you guys. So go give Sylvia some love on all the platforms.
And if you have any questions, if you're thinking about doing a workshop, please reach out. I have no problem sharing my knowledge or information or learn from my experience. But I'd say go for it.
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more, because, you know, if you're thinking about doing it, then start just doing your research, pulling everything together and just do it. So you're going to love it, and start small. You don't have to be like Sylvia and have 101 people at her second workshop.
And
Or
I never
whatever.
did that again.
Start small. Do
I
5.
And I'd rather have 5 people that I can interact with and interact well versus 25.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
more one-on-one, yes, and you can interact with them, and you can really give them the dedicated time. Yeah, absolutely.
I've learned that. So take that one thing you take away now that we think about it or talk about it. It's okay to have smaller numbers. It'll be a higher quality workshop.
It will.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
It's not about,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I love that my viewers, really had the opportunity to meet you and just see how amazing you are. So I appreciate it.
We have fun.
Yes.
And Express, how'd we do?
Express. That's what, when the two of us get together, it is the Hot Mess Express. She shows up on my lives a lot, and we always run into some technical issues. But today it's been going good. Yes. Fingers crossed. We're going to wrap it up now.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. So you guys, in next week's episode, I'll be doing an official recap of season 1 of my podcast. I mean, can you honestly believe we are at the close of this year? And I will have hosted 42 episodes during season 1. So I'm going to give you a bit of insight into what I have, what I have in the works for season 2. So mark that one on your calendars. That will be the final episode then of the year of season 1. All right. So if you guys are actually listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking, and definitely share it so more and more people can find out about my podcast. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok as well. And there I just post out a lot more content for you guys. But yes, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and we will see you in the next one. All right. Bye.